All right. Oh, what is up, and welcome back to the Daily Traders Podcast. I gotta adjust my mic here. This is episode number 27.
Yeah.
So we just crossed half a year shooting these podcasts, which is insane. Today we have a very special guest, Cardinal Mason. He's a 23-year-old entrepreneur making six figures a month, living out in Miami. Excited to hear more. Welcome, Cardinal. Good to have you.
Boys.
How you doing?
It's funny, you said you used to have your own podcast, so I admit we talked a little bit before, and I could tell you're already a natural, so that's good.
Oh, thanks, bro. Yeah, I came in here prepared, man.
Good. Let's hop into your story. Well, first off, what are you doing in Miami? How long have you been there?
I've been here almost 2 weeks. I drove down from Canada.
I thought you'd been down there for like a couple months, not like you just got to Miami.
Fresh in Miami.
Yeah, brand new here. I've visited a lot. But I've always just been like kind of jumping around, staying at hotels, not really sure how long I'm going to be here. Like this time it's pretty permanent.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm from Canada, drove down over the course of like 3 days, bro. It was a long drive in the hell truck. And it was crazy. I like watched the seasons change. It was fire. Then I got here, it was like the promised land. I've been waiting to do this, waiting to move down for so long. It's so lit here, bro.
That reminds me of me, like having that LA dream and moving down to LA.
Yeah, that's funny. And then I went to college down in Orlando, which is obviously in Florida for people who may not know their basic geography. But I drove up from the Northeast down there. So that drive is pretty, and I did that in January, so experienced the whole season change. And that was it's a pretty gnarly drive. It was getting icy in Virginia, so.
A quick disclaimer. We are not financial advisors. We cannot give any financial advice. Nothing said in this podcast should be taken as financial advice. The full disclaimers will be in the description below. All right, thanks.
Virginia is the most dangerous state to drive through because the reckless driving laws are crazy.
Yeah, really?
I don't know if you guys know this, but they're very strict. So if you're going 85 or more, no matter what, you get you get decked. Like they put you in jail, bro. I think there was a baseball player who missed 3 or 4 games because he was driving through Virginia and he was going 90 on the highway, bro. And they got him and they pulled him over and he spent some. It's serious. So I was driving like a grandma through Virginia, but after that, as soon as I got to, I was just flying, bro.
That's funny. So I kind of have a crazy story. So I drove from Maine to New York, and then from New York, we were going to drive all the way down to South Carolina, right? So it was like a 9-hour, 10-hour day. And it just happened that we had the biggest blizzard in it was one of those 100-year storm blizzards. The day I was driving from New York City to Virginia, it was snowing all the way down in Washington, D.C. 8-lane highways were turned into 1 lane. It was insane. So anyways, I didn't know that. So finally, Virginia was right where the snow was starting to stop. And I'd been in bumper-to-bumper traffic for 13 hours driving.
Oh my God.
And I drove a manual WRX and none of my friends knew how to drive. So I was driving for 13 straight hours. Getting in Virginia, I didn't know the laws. So I'm going 120 through all of Virginia. But it was 1 a.m. And by some miracle, I made it through and then made it all the way down to, I don't think we made it to South Carolina, but we made it to North Carolina.
Did you incriminate yourself?
I hope not. Virginia PD is going to be knocking on the office door, trying to arrest me. But no, I was, and then I FaceTimed one of my boys when I got to the hotel in North Carolina and they were, dude, did you drive safe through Virginia? I was like, nah, man, I made it through in a couple hours. And what?
I didn't know that. That's good to know.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, you gotta be careful, man.
I know. It's great.
So you want to talk about kind of what you're doing exactly, so people have some sense of how you're making 6 figures a month. Start back. When did you get started? You're 23, obviously. What was high school like? Did you go to college? Walk us through your life.
Yeah, man. So I was very normal up until pretty recently. I was never one of those lemonade stand early entrepreneurs, hustlers just trying to find a way to make money without a 9-to-5. That was never me, right?
Okay.
I wanted a 9-to-5. I've finished high school. I did all right. I've always had a problem with authority. So I think that's maybe the one trait that I think maybe threw me into this.
Yeah.
But when I got to college, I thought I wanted to be a lawyer. I met this kid who was way smarter than me and he just failed this practice LSAT. And I was like, I'm never going to be a lawyer. And then I heard about copywriting on Twitter through like some random guy that like you guys probably wouldn't know. And I like looked into it, and I've always been like a decent writer. I've always liked writing. And so I was like, okay, this might be a cool thing for me. And I realized you can actually make really good money from it. And my goal was never to make like millions of dollars. I don't think anyone really starts off that way, or maybe you guys did, but I didn't. I was like, I wanted to replace I was a server at the time. So I wanted to replace my salary as a server, which was like $3,000 a month. I figured if I can make $3,000 a month, I can live all right. And I was like, I'm just going to push. And I was like, maybe in 6 months I can hit $3,000 a month. Right. I didn't understand how it worked.
Yeah.
And then my first month as a freelancer, I made like 4,500.
No way.
So I was like, all right, well, I beat that goal. And, yeah. And that was right when like COVID started happening. And so it was like, I had all the time in the world. I was like, I might as well just keep going. Mm-hmm. And then, so that was like March, April, May-ish. And then school came back around, and I was making like $6,000 or $7,000 a month as a freelancer. And I was working like 3-4 hours a day. I was like, dude, this is sick. Why would I go back to school? Mm-hmm. And then, yeah. And so I just kept that going, and I worked a lot, dude. I found a system where like I could beat every other freelance copywriter by like doing things a little bit differently. Like I was really fast, and I knew which kind of deals to get. Like a lot of people will go to Upwork. I don't know how much you guys know about freelance copywriting, but what people usually do as freelancers is they will go to like these little freelance job boards and find someone who's willing to pay them $50 for like this one project, this one-time project. They'll do that, and then they'll be on the hunt for the next thing. And so they're just making these little like $50 to $300 little side gigs all the time. And that's like the worst way to do it. I was working with like e-com brands. I was working with agencies. I was working with personal brands. And like my average deal size was between like $2,000 and $3,000 a month. Wow. And so I just stacked retainers. Okay. And at some point, and I also had a couple of performance things at the end. And so I went from like literally no experience working at a restaurant. Like I was dumb. I had no idea what I was doing. Yeah. And like a year and a bit, I was doing like 20, 30. And then I had 1 month where I shot up to like 48,000 in 1 month, just from like a bunch of those retainers, and then like a performance deal that just hit. Damn. And then
at 21, how old were you at that point?
I was like 22.
Okay, cool.
So making like 50K all of a sudden, like, you know, a couple months ago, you're making $3,000 a month working your ass off. What was your initial reaction? That must have been crazy.
Well, the problem was, bro, like I did not have a lifestyle. Like it was still kind of like pandemic era. And so like I didn't go out of the house. And so I was making all kinds of money, but I was still living like a guy who worked, you know, a regular ass job, because I had like an average apartment, average car. Yeah. I didn't go out clubbing. I didn't spend any money on dumb stuff. So like I was kind of just chilling. And so I didn't feel it. And so, but I was working so much, and I felt like it wasn't like paying off because I wasn't actually spending any of it. And we can talk about this later, the importance of actually spending money that you earn. I think it's so important. But like that was a huge thing for me. I didn't actually realize I was making money until like the first time I like left the country, which was like December. So like this time last year, I went to Miami for the first time, and I met all these dudes who are out here, and they're not doing like 20, 30 a month. They're doing like 100, 200, 500 a month. And I was like, whoa, I got a lot of work to do. Yeah. And so I was like, and that's when I just started looking for a vehicle where I could just like scale to the moon, bro. Cause like, that was when I realized like, I want to do this forever. Like I want to have longevity. I want to make a bunch of money. I want to have sort of like a legacy kind of thing.
Yeah.
Dang, that's impressive.
So how'd you start scaling it?
So I actually got like, I let go of almost all of my copywriting clients in like end of November. And I got down to like 3 clients or 3 or 4, something like that. And then in December of 2021, I made like 15 G's with 4 clients, and I was working like literally an hour a day. And I was sitting there thinking, I was like, dude, should I just do this? Like, this is so much easier. Like cause I went from working like 60 hours a week to like 5 hours a week. And I was like, dude, I'm still making like way more than like I expected I was going to make ever. Mm-hmm. So like, should I just coast? And then I realized like, nah, like in January, I started my agency. And so we initially started doing like email marketing for SaaS. That was dumb. Like there's a reason why nobody's doing email marketing for SaaS. Like it's very difficult to do. So, but now we just do like full stack retention for like pretty much everyone. Like we have like custom retention solutions, just like email, SMS for pretty much everyone.
You want to break down what copywriting is? Because I definitely know there's a bunch of people listening to this that have no idea the different facets of what comes with it.
Yeah. So copywriting is like sales in print, and like people see copywriting every day. Like, here we go. I just bought a tripod, right? All of this stuff that's written here, all of this is written by a copywriter. And like the intent is either to educate or sell you something. And so anytime you go to a website online that's written by a copywriter, anytime you see an email in your inbox that's promoting something that's written by a copywriter, any ad written by a copywriter. And so copywriters make money because they make companies sound better than they are, and they sell more products. It's not like a scammy thing. Like they're literally just communicating it better than someone else could, which is why they make money. This is why they get paid what they do.
Okay. That was a very straightforward explanation.
That's interesting. So, okay. So now it's like January, you start the agency, you're scaling it. At what point were you like, okay, I need to move down to Miami and start spending money?
So like I said, I'm from Canada. Canada was locked completely down like beginning of January because there was a bunch of cases after Christmas and New Year's. And I was not down to do another lockdown, and I had to go to a place where that just didn't exist.
Yeah.
So I went to Mexico in January. I went to like 4 different places. I went to Mexico, and I went to Miami, and then I went to Texas, like Dallas, Texas, and then Charleston, South Carolina. And then that was just like my first time ever like traveling for a long extended period of time, and mostly by myself, because I was just hopping. Like I had people in every city that I was going to visit, but I was just like going around just visiting, and I was like, okay, like I know now there is so much more to the world than just the place that I grew up in.
Yeah.
And I'm so lucky to have figured that out as early as I did, because most people never figure that out. Like they stay in like, wherever in Idaho forever.
Yeah.
And I think like that can get, I don't know, if you're cool with that, then cool. But like, I want to see everything, bro. Like I want to go to some random ass places. Like I want to go to like Kazakhstan.
That's neat.
I want to see everything. And I think like as a young dude who's like doing pretty well and has a business and wants to be around other people with businesses, you have to go to a place where the baseline is higher. And so I was in like Hamilton. I don't know if anyone knows Hamilton in Canada, in Ontario. But like, dude, like I was in like the top like 5%, like not even just my age. Like I did not need to be there. It was like, there was no one that I could look up to really, at least that I knew of. And that's not like an ego thing. Like it's literally just like, there's no one around that was like just completely dwarfing me. Yeah. And then I go to Miami, and like, you see some dude walking down the street in like flip flops, and he's like in a hoodie or something like that. And he looks like a bum, but that dude just like, sold at the top of some crypto thing, and he's worth like 20 million. You don't even know who he is. And then like you have someone who's your neighbor down the hall. I don't know if this is true or not, but like it's probably some tech guy who just like sold a company to Microsoft, and now he's worth like 100 million. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's so many like sneak like millionaires and billionaires that you don't get to see if you're not down in a major city. And so like for me to grow and for me to actually learn stuff and like actually get meaningful experience, like you have to be in a major city.
Yeah, it's all about the networking, which it seems like you're building a pretty big network around Miami. Is that hard?
It's hard if you don't have a home. Okay, so like I have probably like 5 or 6 people in like my close circle, people that I do everything with, and we're like boys, right?
Yeah.
And then you have like 10, 15 other people that are sort of in your perimeter. And it's like friends of friends, where it's like I have people that are like 2 or 3 removed from me, and then other guys in my group have like 2 or 3 removed from them. And so like with a tight circle of boys that you just like with all the time, you kind of grow exponentially like this, and you just introduce each other to like other people.
Yeah. And
if you roll as a group, it's way easier to like get to know people, because if you're just some random like dude kind of walking up by yourself, like people are like, who's this guy?
Yeah.
But luckily, like I made a lot of friends through social media, and so like pretty much all of the guys that I know down here are from Twitter.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's weird. I started growing on Twitter, not even on purpose. Like I didn't have anything to sell or anything like that when I was on Twitter, but I just wanted to like have a personal brand. I thought it'd be fun, so I started Twitter. Like I started it like a couple years ago, but I started trying to grow it in like May or June of last year, And it's just like blown up since then. And I've met so many cool people from there. And so like, yeah, literally like all my like homies right now are from Twitter.
Wow.
So are your homies, like, is your friend group, everyone's kind of doing their own thing, some their own businesses, successful?
Oh yeah, no, they're all doing business. And that's why it's cool. Cause we can go places together and like no one ever objects to like, you know, if someone says the table's 5,000, you just pay it.
That's
like
wild.
if we go to a club and like we have to get, like, you know, it's like dude, we were so excited because we went to Tampa recently and like it was like 300 minimum for a table, which is super cheap. You don't see that in Miami. We got like 5 different tables. Like, let's just buy the whole place, bro. Like 300 minimum, like 100%. And so like it's very different from like when you know you're in your hometown and you're chilling with boys that are like doing like they work 10 hours a day and they're doing construction. You say like, yo, let's go grab some drinks, and the bill is $60 and everyone's afraid to put their card down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like $60. Like I probably pay $60 for a salad bowl at breakfast.
Yeah, just like being in a different place, different perspective. So that kind of all like plays into the, you know, your who you surround your like. I say this all the time, is like the 5 average people you hang around the most is like who you grow into. And you were just talking about how like being in a small, because I'm from a small town, like population of 3,500 people, and being in even this city, Portland, which has like, you know, 70,000 people, such a huge difference. There's so much more opportunity. Like we went to this like Christmas gala fundraiser, and all of a sudden we're connected with like 5 people, all with like $100 million net worth, just because, you know, just like being in a bigger city. There's so much more opportunity.
Yeah, bro. That's super important. And like, and that's a good city to grow in because like you still kind of can do whatever you like. You're not, you know, crowded by like everyone's richer than you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, that's kind of what it feels like now. Like you just need room to grow. And so like Portland, Maine is sick. You know what I mean? Like Cincinnati is sick. Tampa is sick. Orange County is sick, where it's not like an A-tier city where it's like LA or Miami or Chicago where like everyone is just like dwarfing you and you feel like a tiny little fish.
That's how I felt in LA.
Yeah.
And that was like
I've never been to LA. I would love to go though.
Oh, you got to go to LA. I mean, it's a crazy world. And yeah, I went from being kind of like the big fish in a small pond to a very tiny fish in LA. I mean, the amount of money there just makes you feel so small, but it's a really motivating thing at the same time. But you're right, you have to find that in between, which it feels like Portland is good in between. Or
I think too, yeah.
Portland, there's other smaller cities I could name, but
it's also like a way of life too. Like you got to think about it. Say you're in Boston. If we were in Boston, try to go to Best Buy. It's like a 2-hour thing. Like you're going out to Natick, you're coming back. Like it's a 2-3 hour venture. Here it's like 20 minutes. Yeah. Or from our house to here, it's like 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's like the ease of life.
Yeah, the ease of life. Exactly. You got to think about like what you're most comfortable in. Like it would be the same in New York City, really, you know?
Yeah. Well, you talked about how like Miami, there's always something to do. You think that's a bad thing? Like it's kind of like you were saying, it's kind of distracting. You know what I mean? Like I feel like it is kind of like it's a nice workflow down here. There's not a ton going on. If you want to do something, you can figure something out. But like, it's not like everything's on your face. Like, oh, I can do this. So, you know, it makes it a little easier to stay focused. Do you like struggle with that, or what do you think?
No, it's very distracting. But I think that's a good thing. Like I've realized recently that like when I lived in Canada, I thought I had discipline because I never went out, but I never went out because there was nothing to do. So I didn't actually have discipline. I just thought I was because I wasn't actually doing shit.
Yeah.
And so down here is where it's a real test of discipline, where you actually have to force yourself to do stuff. And like there is a distraction every night. Like I have boys that go out like 4 or 5 nights a week. Like that's their thing. Like nightlife is like their thing, and they want to do that, and that's fine. But like that's not really what I want to do. And like luckily at this point in my like business journey, I don't really need discipline because I'm just that excited. Like I wake up and I'm just like stoked, bro. Like a lot of this, like, it doesn't feel like work right now. Like when I was grinding out the first like few months of the agency, I was like, oh my God. Like it was brutal. Like I had to force myself to sit down and like really do it. But now everything is just so established and it's just way easier just to get everything going.
Yeah. So what's your team look like besides you? Who's running your agency?
So I have a young lady who was actually local to me when I was in Canada. She is a rock star, bro. I don't think this business would run without her, or it would, but I would just have to work like as much as I was working before. And so she is our account manager, but she's also like my second brain. Like she just automatically, for some reason, has a talent for knowing exactly what I need and then just doing it in advance before I even ask. It's crazy.
Wow.
And I have this guy who's like a genius. His name's Pierce. He actually follows you guys.
Oh, really? That's funny.
Yeah. And he's like our like main tech guy. He's like the entire brain. He's a coder, but he's also creative. And so he understands computers really well, but he also knows like how the creative process works. And so that really helps. And then I have a copywriter who's like a G. He's my boy. Mm-hmm. Like my little bro. Like he's not actually I do have another little bro who's like literally my brother who is a copywriter, but this guy who works at the agency is like, he's like a little bro. He's cool as fuck. And then a designer who's in the UK. And she's a killer too. Like it's a tight team, bro. Like we don't need much, because like everything's pretty SOP'd. Everyone really understands like what to do. So it doesn't take them long. Like we can double our volume. Like we could double our client base and like probably I wouldn't have to hire anybody else.
Wow. So it's pretty pretty run like outside of you like having to do much now. It seems like what are you working on then? What are your days spent doing? Run us through
so I still take sales calls. I still have a couple of freelance clients just because like it's very strategic. Like I wouldn't take like freelance clients just for money. Mm-hmm. The people that I'm working with are the people that I'm like helping because I know that they're going to be like, there's a dude right now that I'm doing his newsletter and he is 100% going to be worth $1 billion in like 3 years. Like I know this because he's tracking right behind a competitor or a very similar company who just raised like 130 million at like a 1.5 billion valuation. And I know he's going to do the exact same thing, like for a fact. And so I'm helping him. There's a couple other people that like, it's like strategic freelance gigs. And so I'm still writing for them. And then, I do like, I manage the team of the agency. So I still have to be a leader. I can't just like leave.
No, of course.
Yeah.
I still have to be present.
Yeah.
And then a lot of my stuff is media now. So I'm kind of transitioning from like more of like an entrepreneur guy to like media guy. That's why I have like TikTok and stuff. I'm starting YouTube. I just bought this camera.
Nice.
I don't know. I went to Best Buy. It was funny you were talking about Best Buy because it was a 2-hour thing.
Yeah.
So I just like, bro, it's so funny because me and my boy walked in there and he's killing it too. He actually just sold an e-commerce brand a couple months ago. So he's up like a nice bag. And so we went to Best Buy and like, it was so funny because we just like, you know, when you would go to Best Buy as a child and there'd be all this stuff you want to see and you'd have to like look at your budget of like $60 that you scraped together for like 6 months to save.
Yeah.
And you're like, ooh, I spend this on. You get like one game. Like we dropped like 6 racks in like an hour, bro. So just,
Best Buy is
like,
dangerous.
What'd you buy?
We need all this stuff for the place. And so like, and I need stuff for like, cause I'm going to start doing like video, like long form videos. And it was just so funny, bro. Just kind of looking back on like, damn, like kind of up.
It's a good feeling.
You're talking about the team. So like, what do I do every day? So it's media. And then, I spend time like talking to like customers, like in the Discord, like developing, like doing like new ads. I'm working on ads right now because we're doing a webinar for something else. Like it's kind of, it's very like free right now. Like I used to have a lot of recurring tasks. Mm-hmm. So it's weird to sort of describe my day because it's always different. Like back when I was freelancing, every week was exactly the same. Monday, I would have these 8 things that I need to knock out before 4:00. Tuesday, same thing, right? So every week I would have the same recurring task and I would just have to keep doing it and there'd be very little variance, right?
Yeah.
Now I have no idea what I'm going to do tomorrow. I know that I have like a sales call for the agency and then I have like, I think, it's like a networking event that I have to go to it. Or not have to. I get to go to a networking event.
There you go.
For dinner. But other than that, like I have no idea, bro. Like it's very weird right now because I'm not used to this, but it's fun.
Yeah.
It's stimulating, right?
That's like how my days are more now than they used to be when it was kind of just me running everything because I had those things that I had to do every single day. And now it's like every day is completely different, which is exciting. You wake up in the morning and you don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
Yeah, legit. Yeah. This is how I want it to be though. Because like, I don't want to plan stuff. I don't like predictability. Mm-hmm. And I also like some open air. I like to have a little bit more control over my schedule. Yeah. Like I would like to be able to go to the gym at 1:00 in the afternoon if I really want to.
Yeah.
Or I want to like go and just like, say just go grab lunch with some dude who I met on Instagram or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a little bit like a video game now. It's starting to get fun.
That's great. You want to talk about your TikTok because that's how we found you. You're blowing up right now.
TikTok is so fun right now, bro.
That's good. We need we
fun.
need your secrets because it's a struggle constantly fighting the algorithm.
Dude, yeah. So I do TikTok like a very different way than like, because you guys are doing like, you guys have clips from videos that are long form. You clip them up, you make them short form, you put the captions on there, and those still do well. For some reason, those don't work for me. I don't know why.
Interesting.
And so someone described my strategy to me, and I thought it was pretty like accurate. So now I describe it this way. I one-to-one, like I'm on FaceTime with a friend.
Okay.
And I basically just do like a one-way FaceTime call with the people on TikTok. And it's like super organic, super off the cuff. I don't really plan stuff. I don't write any scripts or anything like that. I always just hit the camera with like a lot of energy. And like I try and be as authentic as possible. Like a lot of people are, you can see we're starting to change. It's starting to change where like people are starting to get sick of like the really blatant, like make money online stuff.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the same stuff, but I'm delivering it in a different way. And so I think that's resonating with people. And so that's like really the only strategy that I have, other than like the small technical things that I think like can help anyone, where it's like, optimize not just for your hook, but for like retention. So like it's way more important that someone watches the whole video than actually like watches the first 3 seconds.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think like optimize for engagement. So like try and incentivize people to either share or comment. And then also like sometimes you have to ruffle some feathers a little bit. Like the videos that I have that are the biggest are the ones where people are like, yo, what is this guy talking about? Like this guy's an idiot. Like what is he? And then like, so I capture way more people. So instead of getting like 100,000 views, I get like 3-4 million. And then 10% of the people that are in that audience are going to be like, oh, this guy's on to something. And then they'll follow down the rabbit hole and then they'll end up, halfway through the funnel, like in the Discord or something like that.
That's cool. Yeah, no, it's really, TikTok's so wild because we'll have videos and we'll go look at the comments and the engagement. They have like, I don't know, 10,000 views and they're like positive, like, oh, like this is a really good episode of the podcast. I love this. And then you go to the ones with like 1 million views. It's like, this kid's a freaking idiot. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Like, what type of, you must have some funny TikTok hate stories because we have endless.
Countless.
Like TikTok hate comments.
Yeah, man. Like, I think the thing that people really don't understand is like what the difference between like a scam and like not a scam is.
Yeah.
Right. It's like you and I can both go on TikTok and watch all of these like make money online videos. And no matter what the medium is, no matter what the business model that they're trying to sell you is, for a fact that it works because someone that does it, right? For example, like Amazon FBA. I have so many boys that crush it with Amazon FBA. Yeah. Drop shipping. You turn into an e-commerce brand. I have friends that are doing 50 million a year with e-commerce. I have friends that are doing really well with agency. I have friends that do really well with crypto. So like, it's pretty hard to like say like that guy's a scammer because everything works. And so the thing that like used to bother me, but now does not bother me at all is when people say like, oh yeah, this guy's an idiot. He's just a scammer. It's like, dude, no.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And also I'm very upfront with the fact that I have a course.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, oh, this guy's just trying to sell you a course. And I'm like, yeah, like that's why do you think I make 20 TikToks a week? Like and like, it's not just about money. Like I do want to sort of have people go through the same transformation that I went through, which we talked about before, where it's like, I went from being like a normal ass guy making like normal ass money. And I sort of just fell into this by accident because I chose a skill like copywriting where I can go from, $0 or $3,000 a month to like 20 or 50. And so I want people to go through that same thing too. But I mean, yeah, like our course is like super cheap, bro. It's like $15 a week. You know what I mean? Like that's not going to break the bank for anybody.
Yeah.
Like I know people that like, I don't know, you end up buying some like, the one thing that I highly suspect is a scam because I've heard this from people that know what they're talking about is like those automation, like Amazon automation, Walmart automation, Shopify automation. I can't say that everyone who's doing it is screwing people over, but I've heard that a lot where it's like, you spend 30 or 40 grand and you acquire a store and they run it for you, but it doesn't actually make any profit. So you don't make your money back. Everything here is like completely safe and like, it's literally risk free. And so, that's most of the comments that I get is people just saying that I'm a scammer. And I get stitched all the time and people say like,
oh, same.
People say like, oh, I've been a copywriter for like 10 years and I've never made 6 figures. And I'm like, well, you suck. Like imagine that you haven't made 6 figures. Like, dude, I was doing the equivalent of that, like $8,000 a month when I was like 5-6 months in. So like, why can't you do it? I was an idiot child. You can do it too. And so I just like it. The only thing that really bugs me is when people hijack my content and try and insert these dumb limiting beliefs into my audience that aren't true. The fact that you can't say that someone, like, for example, if you say like not everyone can make 6 figures a year, like that's, maybe it's true, but I think that everyone at least has the potential to. And so why would you like stitch my video and say that? Like, how does that serve you? Why would you not want people to make more money? I don't understand that. It boggles my mind. And so I think it's like a bit of a jealousy thing on their part.
Oh, 100%.
Oh yeah.
And so like, I just like, I don't see the point in that. And so it really does bother me when people are like, yeah, this isn't possible. Because just because it's not possible for you doesn't mean it's not possible for some random kid who's 18 years old and they're watching my videos and they want to do something with their life. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
100%.
I think when you watch, all these like influencer videos, hey, I made this much money, I make 20K a month doing dropshipping, FBA, like all these different hustles, whatnot. You kind of have a choice as a viewer to either be offended and take it like personally, or kind of take it and be like, okay, maybe this has some traction to it and actually, pursue it. But I feel like being offended and saying, no, this is wrong, and just moving past something is doing a disfavor to yourself. But anyways, we're gonna have to cut to a break here real quick.
All right, and we're back. Okay, I was just told I'm very low energy. Should have had some caffeine before this. My apologies. All right, let's pick up where we left off.
Yeah, so earlier in the episode, you mentioned how you think people need to spend the money that they make for some good reason. Do you want to elaborate on that? I'm really curious.
Yeah. So this is something that I've like never vibed with. Like you guys probably hear a lot of like the finance YouTubers.
Graham Stephan.
Like if you save $100 a month and put it in an S&P 500, one day you'll have $1,000. You know what I mean? Like that bugs me so much because it's just like, number one, it's not for us. It's not for entrepreneurs. Like, you know what I mean? Like our income every year is going to 5x if we do everything right.
Yeah.
That's for people who are stuck on a salary of like 60 to 70K and they have to maximize as much as they can, right? Save everything because you're never going to make more.
Yeah.
Like if you're lucky, maybe you'll get promoted and you'll make 95. And like, listen, some people are down for that, but they're probably not watching this podcast. The people that are down for that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're probably at work.
Yeah.
But like for guys like us and especially like our audiences, I think it's so important to like prove to yourself that abundance is real. And like, I think like this is kind of a hard thing to understand, especially if you don't have abundance. Like if you don't have a bunch of money sitting in the bank, it's tough for you to understand that money is kind of everywhere. But you have to have blind faith in people like us that are telling you that it's true because it is.
Yeah.
And you need to so I spent the first, like when I first started making money, I didn't spend anything. I had a cheap studio apartment. I drove a Honda Accord. It was like very relaxed. I didn't do anything. The most money I spent on was like food. I had like a big Uber Eats bill every month because I just never cooked, right?
Yeah.
But like when I came down here, or like at least this year, I've spent over 100,000 on travel. I bought like $160,000 truck. I bought this stupid thing. It's like a chocolate dial date just.
Nice.
And it's not even that expensive, but like to me, like for me to walk into a jeweler and be like, yeah, like I think it was like close to 17,000. And I was like, that was recent. That was like a month ago. And I was still like kind of shocked by that. But like, even still, it's very important to like spend money and show yourself that you can have more because it's going to motivate you to make more. So like, if you like, let's say I can speak on freelance copywriting because that's what I did. I found it to be a little bit like money on command, where it's like you can be sitting there at 4K a month and you can be like, you know what? I think I would rather make 8K a month. I think I'd rather have more money. And so you just spend 2 weeks sitting there typing a bunch of cold emails and like sending cold emails to business owners, kind of like you guys, and saying that you can help them, getting hired on a retainer, and then just doubling your money. Yeah. And you can just do that. And you can scale that infinitely as long as you want to work, right? You can hire more people, you can bring people on, you can do affiliate, whatever, right? And so in theory, any business can do $1 million a year. Any business.
Yeah.
And so, and to a lot of people, it's not even that much money. So you can do 10 million. You can just figure stuff out as you go, right? And so like, there's always going to be more money that you can make. And it really bugs me when people sort of like protect their pennies, because like, I don't know, I just find that so disgusting. I actually had a tweet about this where it's like people that are like super frugal, like just I have like a physiological reaction to that. I feel disgusted. When people are like, I went to sushi with these guys that were not business guys. They were regular dudes. Yeah. And this guy was freaking out because we chose to do the a la carte, like the buffet, instead of just getting we wanted to do buffet instead of a la carte, instead of just like ordering one thing at a time, because you save like $10 on your bill. Like, so instead of $30 for the buffet, it's like, it ends up being like $20. And I was like, bro, like, please stop talking. And I ended up paying the bill for everyone. It was like 5 people and it was like $150. I was like, done, bro. Give me that.
Yeah.
And that just bugs me so much, bro. I don't know what it is, but it's just like the worst when I see people just like overprotective of the money that they have. Like, bro, just blow it.
So you must just hate like Graham Stephan's like whole thing with like, oh, like don't buy coffee, it's super overpriced, or like any of that sort of
$2.50 a day if you make your own coffee.
Yeah, all that sort of jargon. You must just be
all that advice Graham gives keeps people very like he's keeping everyone living like just an average, the average person. Like the advice he gives for the majority of, his videos I've seen, at least, it's pretty like, he's advice like that's going to keep you in the system. He's super focused
on like slow exponential growth, which is like works for some people, but if you're young and ambitious, you want to make money fast, like not buying a $2 coffee because you're afraid of the markup is like not gonna help you out. But also like being cheap is like, it's always gonna bite you in the ass. You know what I mean? Like I love saying this because it's like every time I go, I like to network a lot, and I'll ask like people who are making, $100 million, like, hey, do you want to grab coffee? Like, I'll always pay. Like, I don't care like if they're making 100 times more than me, I'm still gonna pay, because it's like, just because you're not being cheap, it like shows them that like you care. You know what I mean? Yeah. So just being cheap is only gonna bite you in the ass, in my opinion.
100%.
Yeah, and I always thought too, like if I was actually worrying, if I was ever going to be concerned about, spending money on dinner or clothes, or like, I never want to have to worry about spending money. If I want something, I'm going to get it. And if I have to actually think like, oh, can I afford this? Then I'm, not doing something right. Like I'm not where I should be. And that's like a good motivation, but I don't, like I'll walk into a store. I was in the Hamptons the other week and I walked into some store and there was like this, jacket, and I don't look at the price tags when I go into a store. If I want to get something, I'll get it because I know I can, and put my card in. Oh, $3,500 trench coat.
Was that the trench coat?
Nice. So it's like being able to, not in like a disgusting way, just blowing stupid amounts of money on dumb stuff. But if you have money and you've worked hard, it is like a way to show yourself, like it's like rewarding. It's rewarding yourself, and it's good. It's good motivation. What do you think about setting like monetary value goals, or like, you want to get a Lambo in a year, something like that to help push you forward?
Oh yeah. No, I think, well, that's how I mark. Okay. So I think that in terms of like actual like number goals, that's why I bought this watch. Like I said, when I first do 6 figures in a month, I will buy a Rolex. And I kept that promise to myself. I did 6 figures for the first time in September. And so I was like, all right, I guess I'm getting a watch.
Yeah.
And so this meant that's what this was for. And I think I'll probably do the same thing at 500, probably do the same thing at $1 million.
Yeah.
And like, or different things where it's like, if I get married, when I get married, I'll probably get married. Or if I like ever exit a company, like those kinds of milestones are marked by stuff like this. That's what these are for me, at least.
Yeah.
I don't buy this, or I didn't buy this because I wanted to flex it. I mean, it is kind of cool. It's definitely helped. Actually, you know what? Hot take. Everyone who has enough money in the bank that they're comfortable should buy a Rolex, just because it actually maybe not a Rolex, but something where it's recognizable by pretty much everyone, because it instantly adds credibility. So like, there's a couple of guys that I hang out with that all have like Rolexes, and they're not super crazy, like $50,000 watches. Like they're like Datejust or whatever, but like it adds credibility. Like I went to an expensive ass hotel. This is a couple weeks ago in Miami Beach, and I dressed like a bum. I looked like a homeless dude. I was wearing flip flops and I had like my bag. I was checking in, and so the guy at the front desk, because I look like a child. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the guy was like, who is this kid? Like, and so I got up there and he was like this French dick that was just being a dick. And I like put my arm on the counter and he's like, he watched him look down and he like his tune instantly changed.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, I have a Rolex. I'm not wearing it right now. I was like 20K. And we were at this event like a couple nights ago. And like, this guy came up and like he asked me about it. He looked at it. You know, he saw how I was dressed, saw the watch. This turns out this guy's worth like hundreds of millions of dollars. So it's like it is a really, and I think you should get one too. Like going out in public, like situations like that, it's like pulling up to a really fancy restaurant with a bunch of high net worth individuals in like a really nice car. Like people recognize you, it makes connections. It really does. Like one Rolex could make some crazy connection for you.
It's true.
That's right. And dude, you don't even have to buy like you said, you have a $20,000 piece. This is like, I paid $16,250 for this. You can get a Rolex for $6,000.
Yeah.
Like a used one. And like, some people are going to be like, oh yeah, whatever. He's got a $6,000 Rolex, but like 99% of people don't know what that is. And $6,000, no matter what you think, is not that much money to spend on a watch that's going to get you all of that. It actually is an investment. I'm telling you, from someone who's super skeptical about like, buying, you know, things like watches or cars that are going to attract attention from like high net worth individuals and it'll end up making you more money. I've already proven that to be true. And like I said, super skeptical, didn't think it was real. It is. And if you buy it off market, as in not from Rolex itself, like not from an AD, you can sell this and you could maybe max, you lose $1,000. Then you only paid $1,000 to get all of that stuff that you wouldn't have gotten if you didn't have this.
Yeah, all the connections.
Very, very important. Very good investment. Same with a car. Like if you buy a car the right way, you can maybe lose $5,000 on it. And then you only pay, instead of paying $100,000 for a car, you paid $5,000 and you got all of these connections, you made all these friends, and you got all the content if you want to make content, all that stuff. I think it's super important. Yeah. And like, I actually heard a quote from like, it was just like something that my boy's mentor said when he bought, this was last year, and he was just starting to make money. I think he just had his first like $30,000 or $40,000 a month, and he bought a Corvette, and it was like a C8. It was a nice car, super fast. And he said, and he was super nervous. My boy was super nervous because he was like, yo, what if I can't afford this? Like the payments are kind of expensive. And the guy said, his mentor said like, yo, if you can't afford it, you can just sell it and you go back to your old life and get a job at McDonald's. For some reason that just like hit so hard because I was like, oh man, like there's nothing I fear more right now than like dropping everything I'm doing and just going back to like
normal,
regular 9 to 5 working at McDonald's. No, that's just like the scariest thing to me.
Do you have any kids at like your college? Are you still good friends with everyone that you knew? I don't know where you went to school, but and then you kind of like you switched up, like you went from, you know, being a normal college kid to all of a sudden you're balling in Miami. Like that's sick. Do you have people that are kind of like hitting you up, or you like to go back to Canada, you see everyone?
Yeah, I have very few people from Canada that I still talk to. And that's on purpose. Like I just don't want to spend time with them, to be honest. I'm not interested in it. But yeah, there's quite a few people that are at least curious. They want to know more. And I'm always down to help if someone's, I have like 6 people in my life that I know personally that I've actually helped make 6 figures as a copywriter. But that's it. I'm very picky about who I choose to help because I know that most people, and you guys probably know this too, most people are going to hear your advice and never do anything with it.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
me, that's very frustrating. I really don't like that. I hate when people ask for something and then I take time out of my life to give them advice and then they don't do anything with it, which is why I think it's important to charge for advice. So if you're going to give advice, and I don't even do this for people who are like in my real life, I just like don't even say anything.
Yeah.
But like for people online, for example, like they say like, why is your thing $15 a week? Because if it was free, you wouldn't listen. And I actually want you to listen and I want you to do it. And so that even if it's just a little sting, the pain of typing in your card and giving me and my partner $15 is going to make you actually do it.
Yeah.
I've always been about that.
And this goes on forever, bro. Like I have friends that have spent $100,000 on like a year's worth of like a mastermind coaching. And like the content inside the mastermind is not any better than like something you could spend $1,000 on, or maybe even something you could get from YouTube videos. But the fact that they spend $100,000 in their mind, they go, I have to get a return on investment from this. And I'm the only one that's in control of that. And so I have to actually act on it and do this stuff, or else I'm going to feel like an idiot. And so that's why you get the ROI.
I really like that.
Yeah. I've always told you guys, I'm like, listen, we're not giving away the mentorship for free to our friends. Because we've done that before. And what have they done? They like don't take it seriously. My brother was like, we were out in Greece. He's like, hey, like, ain't you give me the mentorship? I'm like, no, because if I give you a code.
That's cold.
Yeah, no, I said this to him. I'm like, no, because you need that hole in your pocket that you need to make back by what you've learned. And I know you can. So no, I'm not going to give you a code. I'm like, unless it's like, if you want it for your birthday, sure, whatever. But you know, like that's just kind of what, because that's what I've always been about. Is like, if I'm given something for free, like you don't like fully take use of it, whether it's a camera or editing software, like pirated software, you don't take seriously. Like you don't actually learn it because you pirated it. So it goes in every way.
Interesting.
Yeah. Not that you would ever pirate software.
Yeah.
Oh, I've totally pirated software. I don't care. But yeah, I feel like it's true. I like that for sure.
So we're kind of coming to the end here on time. I mean, there's so much we could still talk about. You want to talk about some inspirational stuff? Kind of anyone looking to, get into their entrepreneurial journey, whatever you want to call it. Someone maybe in school, working their 9 to 5. What's the first thing they can do to work towards breaking out of the system and making it to where you are essentially?
Yeah. So I think like the most important thing that I can tell everyone, and I only know this because this used to be me, is like there is sort of a pandemic, if you will, of people that are overthinkers. Like it's one of the things that plagues the world the most. And it's partially because we're spoiled here in the first world, that we feel the need to protect ourselves from things, even though there's actually nothing to protect ourselves from. Because there are no lions and tigers and bears out there trying to kill us.
Yeah. Like
worst thing that happens, you get hit by a taxi. You know what I mean? I think like people overthink so much on everything in their life. And so like the thing that I overthought most about was like, what if this doesn't work? What if like no one responds to my cold emails? What if I end up, you know what I mean? Like we create all of these like nightmare scenarios in our heads, and it stops us from doing anything that could actually potentially change our lives forever.
Yeah.
And so I think the number one thing that we need to stop doing is attributing this like insane level of meaning to every action that we take, right? So for example, when you send a cold email to a client to try and get a client, right? You're not thinking, what if they don't respond? What if this happens? What if it goes to spam? You know what I mean? Like you just have to do the things, like literally just be a robot, turn off your brain and just do the things in order that are going to make you a better person. So in our case, that's, learn a skill, find people, clients that want the skill, get paid, do good work, and then do it again and again and again. And so you have 10 clients paying you $2,000 a month and you're making 20 grand. That's $240,000 a year. I think that is one thing where like, if people just didn't think so much and didn't stress over small details that haven't even happened yet, everyone would be better off.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to rid the world of overthinkers. And like literally all that means is just like, stop thinking that everything is so serious. Like I made a video on this, like the no big deal mindset, NBD, bro. Like it's no big deal. I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to send some cold emails. No big deal. Stop attributing meaning to it. It doesn't matter. We're all going to die anyway, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like we just need to chill. And so like I've recently learned that, where it's like now everything that I do, I look at it logically, right? Where it's like, what is this going to actually do for me? Is it going to help me, or is it more likely that it's going to hurt me? If the likelihood of it hurting me is like 58%, I'm probably not going to do it. But like most of the time, the decisions that you make are either very low impact or they're actually really high ROI that you're just completely ignoring because you're too busy looking at the risk.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that doesn't mean everyone should just like go ape in $100,000 into like some dumb butt coin that like ended up on the crypto exchange yesterday. But like, I think that like you take calculated risks and you understand that like, nothing is as serious as you think it is. Like you don't need to stress about 99% of the things that you're stressing about.
That's cool. I love that. That was like, your mindset's sick. I love that.
Yeah,
I mean, I took advice from that.
That's some great advice.
Same. Yeah. Jeez. What a great episode.
Yeah. Do we have like a
do we have an applause? Yeah, we do. Here we go. Yeah.
We've never.
Okay.
That's a bit much.
I don't
No,
think
seriously, that was
Yeah.
some really good advice. I wish I heard that advice when I was starting out. So I
know.
hope you guys all are taking something away from this episode. As a whole, thank you for coming on. I called you Cardinal first. Your name's Mason. Cardinal Mason's your Instagram. We'll put the link in the description below.
That's my TikTok.
Everyone
my
who wants to check you out.
Instagram is Mason X Doer. That's like my first and last name.
Mason
my
X.
TikTok and my Twitter is at Cardinal Mason. If you want to check me out.
All right, yeah,
we'll have that
link
all in
you
the
below,
description.
Of
Yep.
course.
All right. Make sure we'll put all the links in the description so all you guys can check it out.
Thank you guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you for coming on, Cardinal, Mason, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Peace.
Later.
Bye.